Hmm. Got it.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Faith and Fandom podcast. Today we are on episode 2 of our not final crisis, identity crisis discussion. We are starting with chapter 2 or issue 2 of it, and we're moving forward. I'm joined today with the magnificent Todd Turner of Mosaic fan art. Magnificent.
That's hilarious.
Todd Turner of Mosaic fan art and all the other wonderful things that he does. He's done some geek churches out in the Kentucky area, and he is a pharmacist. I was going to say you're a drug dealer, but let's not say that.
I know that'd be bad.
That'd be bad.
Yeah.
But Todd is a professional geek as well, and
I try hard.
You try hard, and he's got one of the coolest comic book collections I've ever seen. In passing, even. But so we're going to be discussing identity crisis because absolutely no one demanded a podcast review of an 18-year-old comic book.
But it's definitely needed.
You know, I think there's a lot of gold in identity crisis. And I think it's like the more just looking over it, because, you know, just doing this with you, I've looked over it a little more than I have even when I just read it recently. And I feel like there's a lot of good and relevant things. Oh, yep, good. We're broadcasting. Shiny. Just making sure. Yep, because this is me being super concerned about excellence.
There you go.
And I heard somebody say recently that the hardcore demand for excellence in everything is a biblical cowardly cover-up for self-righteous perfectionism.
That's an awful lot of multi-syllable words.
It is, but it's just that, like, you know,
I do average extremely well.
Yeah, and that's I think you know, I'm a whole heart person, and to me, whole heart doesn't always have to be completely polished. I do appreciate excellence when it's there, but if excellence is getting in the way of actually the heart of something, then, you know, I'm kind of like less impressed. My ear holes are not functioning.
I think that's part of the reason why I like doing mosaics, because it doesn't have to be perfect. You know, I get to break up glass, and it's like I've told you before, it's extremely forgiving, and it's just like everybody will go, "Oh, that looks so nice." I'm like, "Really? This is a goof." But you know,
I've said that this almost every time we've talked, but like legit, that's one of my favorite phrases of my entire life is the glass is forgiving. Like that's gonna be in some like puzzle.
It'll be on my tombstone or something somewhere. The glass was forgiving.
I'm sure it would be a fortune, and I'm sure it would be you know, tedious. But if you don't have a mosaic tombstone, I'm gonna be kind of sad.
Shoot, I don't know about that, man. It'll just be pieces of a tombstone laying together, and somebody's got to put it together to find out exactly who's buried here.
Well, so I know this is
that would be a puzzle. That's not a mosaic.
On Mother's Day, I went to visit my mother's grave, and my family went, and we saw that somebody it looked like very intentionally knocked over someone's tombstone.
Ooh, that's a bummer.
And so, you know, tombstones weigh like 43 million pounds. And I said, all right, family project, we're going to pick this thing up.
Oh, wow.
That would be a puzzle. That's not a mosaic. My friend John was watching. He said, yes, this is the dude with all the dope mosaic pieces. But as you are known.
That's cool. I like that.
Yes.
I like being the dope mosaic piece guy.
So I walked over by myself, and I was like, I'll do it. And like thinking, you know, I'm a gangster. Let me pull this off. And then I was like, oh no, this was a horrible life choice. And then like
go to the hospital later.
My whole family like pitched in, and, you know, I'm, you know, a little concerned about my wife trying to do heavy lifting right now.
Right.
All 5 of us grabbed in, and we like straight like yoinked that tombstone and put it back in its place.
Man, that's awesome.
I felt pretty burly about that.
No kidding.
But yeah, today we're going to be discussing Identity Crisis issue 2 through whatever. And this 18-year-old comic book that pushed a lot of boundaries from Brad Meltzer. And but yeah,
Rags Morales.
As we talked about last time, we talked about just the first issue that someone killed Sue
Dibney.
There we go.
Dibney.
I was like, my words all chunky. Someone
That's all
killed
right.
Sue Dibney, and they think it's Dr. Light, and go. It's kind of where it picks up off. Again, Michael Turner's covers on this thing are so gorgeous. They literally were so gorgeous. Like, check out this, like a shot of.
Yeah, that's the cover of issue 2.
That's the cover of 2, and man, it's just so flipping beautiful. Let me ask you this: what was, like, when you were first reading this? What was your impression of Jean Loring? Just out the gate, did you have any suspicion? Did you have any concern?
No.
Did you?
No, because at this point we had in comic book fandom, I mean, we've really never had anybody we've never had anybody do something like this that I can think of. You know, I guess I really had no suspicion that she was the one at all, because I think it opens up, the issue 2 opens up with she is trying to get back with Ray Palmer, I guess. Well, not really trying to get back.
But she's not, she's laying the groundwork, but he's like come over to protect her. And,
right.
I thought it was kind of just the not lame, but I thought it was just the most over wonky thing that you've got a superhero that can literally shift size and change all the function of mass and reality. And he gives her a crossbow.
Yeah,
like,
true.
I'm like, bro, I know,
pretty silly.
I know you can do better, but it's just that, like, look in her eyes, just with that, but of doing that.
Yeah, whatever you're up to, Ray, be careful.
Yeah, and that's just one of those things of, like, I get that sweet moment because I know I've handed my family random dumb weapons for things before. Like, I'm not saying we live in a bad neighborhood,
right?
But we are definitely on the cusp of a bad neighborhood. Like, we could see the bad neighbor from like the porch. And
I got you.
But we kind of got this neat little sandwich because I've got the school board directly right there. I'm looking at the school board, and right behind me is an old established church that's large. So we've got this neat little safe little corner, but at every doorway in our house are like random melee weapons.
Oh, nice. Melee weapons.
So there's like baseball bats,
like a mace.
There's I've literally got like a caveman club.
Hope it's not a blow up one, because that is not going to help.
Oh, no, we like carved it out of a tree.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And it's like Captain Caveman straight up. There's golf clubs, and there's been many a time I'll come home and I'll come in a door my kids weren't expecting.
Oh man, you're gonna get whacked right in the head, man, one of these days.
And Bella, who my middle kid, is, she's almost my height now. And like, she straight up came about to here with a baseball bat the other day, and I'm like,
oh my gosh.
And I'm like, yeah, fair.
Don't give them the crossbow, okay?
Yeah. Well, that's like, even like right behind me, there's I think it's a batleth. It's the Star Trek sword thing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like, I've got one like
weapon.
Yeah, I've got this joker right here that's like not like,
okay. That's a baby one.
Yeah, it's a smaller one, but it is sharp, and it's just
there you go.
I'm like, how did Hector die? Well, his kids
baby batlet.
His kids impaled him with a baby batlet.
I'll mosaic that into your tombstone.
Yes, please do. But he gives his wife, his ex-wife, this crossbow, and I thought it was a cool moment. But coming right off of that, there's this moment where I thought was, again, this issue is a good one, but to me personally, issue 3 is like the most.
Oh, that's the Deathstroke issue.
Yeah, the Deathstroke issue is one of my top 10 favorite comics of all time. But I love this moment just right after the crossbow thing, where Carter, like Hawkman, can literally see Flash.
Yes,
vibrating
moving
at the speed of sound or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I don't know that I'd ever really.
I see you, Wally. Is what he says, because he's got those bird eyes, I guess, or whatever.
And that's one of the things. Like, in my mind, I hadn't ever had a connection that Hawkman had, like, crazy supervision.
I've never thought of that ever. Makes sense.
It makes sense, but like, has that? Do you?
I don't think it. But here's the deal. Honestly, I don't read a lot of Hawkman. Like, so
No, but you had some old, like,
I
JSA
did,
ties.
but they never talked about that at all. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And is it the hawk mask? Is it a power? Like, what's the deal? Like, I never.
Yeah, who knows? They don't really go into that either. So, yeah.
Because when
my favorite,
they cut the straps off and he falls without his wings attached.
Without, so he can't fly. Right.
So I'm like, if he takes the mask off, okay. But what are you saying?
The interesting thing about this is that you get Wally West because Barry's gone, right? And Barry was one of the original ones who voted. Like Barry. I don't know if we find out in this issue or maybe the next issue.
It's maybe in the next one, but the tiebreaker.
Okay.
Thing.
Right. So Wally's been thrown into this part, and it seems like, every crisis that we have in the DC universe centers around a Flash
every time.
And the best thing is at the bottom of one of these pages where Elongated Man says, Wally, this isn't about you. I was like, oh yeah. For one time, this is not about you, Wally. And I wonder if that was on purpose.
I believe it had to be, but I also feel like that also has some resentment. If you go back to the first issue when it's talking with Elongated Man saying that one of his favorite thing is that his wife didn't notice Barry.
Right. She noticed him.
That she noticed.
No. Right. Sometimes you just like, what was the ice cream?
Butter pecan.
Sometimes you just like butter pecan.
And so for him to be in the middle of this, my wife is dead, there's a crisis thing, and for another Flash to insert himself, it's like, bro, get out of here.
This ain't about you.
This is not the time.
I know it. Yeah. So basically we have a new Green Lantern and a new Flash taking the place of the other two that were in the 7, I guess, or yeah.
But as cool as Hawkman being able to see Flash vibrating at that speed, my favorite thing is that Wally said, I see you too, Kyle. Or not Wally, but Ollie said, I see you too, Kyle.
And he was just flat up bluffing. Because
like, listen, that would be me. Like if I was in a Justice League hall or meeting someone, like, I see you, Wally. I see you, Kyle. Like just like bluffing my way.
Even
like,
if they're not even there. Be like, what?
So one of my craziest life moments was I was pastoring at a 2-story church or 3-story church, somewhere in there. Either way, it had stairs and levels. I was pastoring a church and I had to be out there at about 3:00 in the morning because a student was on a watch where they needed somebody being supportive at the time. They're at the medical center in the university.
Yeah.
And the student finally went to sleep and they said, hey, you can go home now. And so I went to go get my backpack from the church building. And I went to hit the alarm, boop, 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 and it said back door ajar.
Oh, nice.
So, and this is one of those, like, it takes you 10 minutes to walk across the whole campus buildings. So I walk all the way down, lock the door, and the door was popped open. Like the back door way on the other side was popped open. And as I'm walking through, like, I think I hear something upstairs. And I had an Ollie moment where I'm just like bluffing, like, I was like, whatever. I'm like, I said, you better get out of here. And I just yelled, like, just kidding around. Thunderous footsteps took off.
Oh, wow. There really was someone there.
There was someone there. And at that point in time, I took off running down the hallway, dialing 911, got out to the side of the church building. And I look up, and on the 2nd or 3rd story, I see a window get kicked out. And a dude with a butcher knife dove head first out the window of at least
butcher knife. What the heck, man?
And here's the thing, he landed on his neck on the sidewalk holding a butcher knife. And then he eventually got up and ran away. He was caught later that night stealing a bunch of clippers from a barber shop.
Maybe you just like sharp implements.
But what, like, so
Edward Scissorhands.
I didn't know I assumed that I came in and he was already breaking in or whatever.
Right.
It went to trial, like, because he got caught for a bunch of things. And the guy said he incriminated himself way worse because he said that you were a witness. This pastor saw you once you had broken
Jump
in.
out of a window.
And he said, oh, no, I broke in while he was in there. And I grabbed the knife from the kitchen because I saw that he was in there.
Yeah. So,
and so
nice.
Breaking into an occupied space upgraded the whole criminal charge.
Oh, yeah.
And then saying that he got a weapon with intent, like, put him in a whole nother class.
Yeah. Sometimes it's better off just to keep your mouth shut.
But that was like one of those moments where I bluffed and then I instantly regretted it.
Oh, yeah.
I would have rather have just walked out of the building
and let him have whatever he wanted.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he can have all of our scissors.
My heart rate was up for like weeks.
I imagine. Yeah, because you have PTSD after that. Honestly, you go and then you start thinking, is it behind every door? I mean, if you really stop to think, this is why my wife has a counseling center. So, I mean, because of that.
One of the many checklist things to do the next time I go to Kentucky. It's like,
yeah.
Well, counseling.
You come right on, man. Hopefully we'll have a new building by then.
Awesome.
Oh gosh.
But I mean, literally, imagine that you're dealing with these people on a regular basis, knowing that they could be like invisible in the room with you, or freaking Ray alone for that matter. That's just, this. It
is sort of creepy. That is sort of creepy. I mean, this whole book is a little bit, I mean, it tackles a lot of stuff. It's very Watchmen-esque, honestly.
It does have some strong Watchmen vibes. And, and I'm thinking, like, I saw a post this morning on TikTok where someone that didn't realize that the comedian was based on Peacemaker was saying, like, Peacemaker's just a carbon copy of the comedian. I was like, y'all missed that part.
Missed it. Yeah.
You missed that boat.
You didn't. Yeah. This book was made before the doomsday clock countdown.
But that's just one of those things, like these folks were dark, and this entire book really does hinge on how fragile trust is and how important trust is as well. And like, I don't think that people sat easy with the trust, the supers, because I really think, because Identity Crisis followed, not Identity Crisis, but Infinite Crisis followed this. And I think that this made Infinite Crisis a million times better.
I think this is I mean, we like to say that like The Dark Knight Returns, what's the Frank Miller book? The 4-issue. Yeah. Or Killing Joke. Like that's the turning point. And I was like, I don't know, as far as Batman had always been dark, but you'd never really seen another part of the rest of these heroes. I mean, they're all bright colors. They're green, they're red, they're they're yellow. They're all woohoo bright. This book is, I mean, it tackles real world problems that happen, within a supervillain community, basically. And how far will your grief push you? Because honestly, I mean, once we experience real trauma, which is what, and it is in this book where they explain what happened with Dr. Light and Sue Dibney. It is in this. I mean, once you experience that as a loved one, I mean, how far will your grief or your anger or your trauma, how far will you go after you experience that? And what does that say about who you are at your whole entire core? Or it's just, I don't know. There's a lot of spiritual stuff we can take away from that. There's a lot of psychological stuff we can take away from this, but I believe this was the first time anything like this happened in a mainstream comic book.
Outside of like, the fridging with Kyle's wife and Barbara, stuff like outside of that stuff, this was the first time we saw something this deep. And so let me go ahead and throw this out for all the listeners that are on the podcast, but also for everybody watching on Facebook. Trigger warning, sensitive
Yes.
material ahead.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to be talking about sexual assault and rape and some violations and stuff that go with that. So heavy material,
Heavy material.
which is also, this is not something you expect in the second issue of a Justice League story.
Right.
Like I think that was the thing that threw everybody off so bad. But so coming out of this thing, Sue Dibney's just been buried. The next thing we come across is this horrible depiction. And here's the thing, I don't think that it was I don't think it was done badly. I think
well, that's, I mean, as far as telling the story and really, I mean, I don't know. Yes, it wasn't done badly, but
because it's a horrible thing done well, it feels horrible.
And yeah, and a lot of it is honestly, you have to fill in the blanks with
it's all
what
off
happened.
screen. It's all like close up on hands, close up on faces.
You know what happened. You know,
Yeah.
Dr. Light violated Ralph's wife, Sue. Yeah, 100%.
And it was traumatic to read that. It was traumatic to see it for the first time. But I, like you said, this was the first time I had seen something like this in a book. Now it's a lot less, this, it could be a Tuesday on any given comic
on TV
book shop.
or even on TV or whatever. Yeah. But back then Tuesday on any given comic book shop. You're right. It could be. I don't know though. Dr. Light's character is an absolute creepo.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, the way they draw him, the things he says, and it's like, oh my gosh, they make him
dark.
Go ahead.
I was just
extremely dark.
If you can read issue 2 of Identity
That's
Crisis,
hilarious. Dr. Light is extremely
dark. If you can read issue 2 of Identity Crisis without feeling cringy or uncomfortable or a pit in your stomach,
yeah, there's something wrong with you.
I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
For you.
You read the first one, you should be automatically have such great empathy for Ralph, so much empathy, and then you read the second one, and you should be, oh my gosh, and almost anger. And I mean, they do a good job of getting you to feel how the heroes in this feel, and helpless. Honestly, what can we do? You and I, what can we do? We know what their solution to this was.
And like, outside of just painting a horrible situation, Meltzer's dialogue over the narration.
Oh yeah.
Again, it's beautifully done, but makes it that much worse.
Right.
Like while it's happening, she said, that's all she wanted, a quiet night looking at the stars. And like, I'm just like, it just like breaks my heart. And I appreciate the depths of the storytelling with it. I appreciate that, Meltzer went there. And that's the thing. Right before we started this, I read another Meltzer book. I'm currently, let's say, halfway through his newest novel. And he pulls no punches. He's not gory or horrible for the sake of lack of creativity, but man, he paints with pain.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And that's just one, like,
I think honestly, this is one of the way this is written. I've already mentioned that, with the color blocks for each individual superhero, and it's well written. You can't, it's great. Yeah. I don't know what else to say about that.
Yeah.
But he does paint a really great picture.
So you find out that Dr. Light had assaulted Sue Dibney, and the heroes came in and
they whooped up on it. They said it was like tackling an elephant, because he was all that power, pure adrenaline. But I think the thing that got them was when Dr. Light looks at him and says, "It's your weakness, isn't it? I finally got it." And it's like, oh no. And then he says, "I'll find her again. I'll find you
again, evil.
Then I'll find all of yours."
And the fact that he was saying, I'm putting all of your family at threat.
Yeah.
He's like, is that a wedding ring I see under that costume? Oh, I'll find your
Yes,
wife.
with the flash, I'll find your wife.
Bro, that was horrible.
Which at this point, Iris was dead. If I'm not mistaken, Iris had already died, and Wally still had his wedding ring on.
Wait, was
Barry's
married to Iris?
Barry, right? Iris, I believe, at this point had already died, and Barry was still wearing his wedding ring.
Yeah, but Barry's dead too.
Well, now, but
at that point in the story.
At this point in the story, I believe that Barry literally had his wedding ring on, and Iris was already dead.
Oh, that's even worse. Holy cow!
I'm almost pretty sure about that.
So,
this is 6 months. 6 months after Iris had died. Yeah, I looked that up. Yeah. Oh, so he's still wearing his wedding ring after losing his wife 6 months ago.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
By the way, hi, Mike Wilson. Hi, Julie. Commenting in. Appreciate y'all jumping in. So the idea that after they beat the living daylights out of Dr. Lights, and gave Ralph that moment, the idea is that from that point on, what do you do with someone who knows your secrets,
right? Knows
your identity, and is threatening to do it.
I think it's important to know that at this point, Ralph takes Sue to the hospital. Ralph is not here for what happens afterwards.
Yeah. So Ralph took Sue to the hospital. Ralph was not part of this decision. I'm gonna diverge here again. I'm gonna throw another trigger warning real quick for anyone jumping in. We are talking about the book Identity Crisis, which issue 2 does have the sexual assault of the wife of a superhero and her eventual murder. I'm going to say this, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because I will turn into Ralph Dibny. But when about 4 to 5 years ago, a large child, now he was like 11, but he was 6 foot.
Oh yeah.
He was a big boy, but I mean, still a child. Inappropriately touched one of my daughters. We were at a community event, and he was bigger than her, and he forcibly touched one of my daughters in an inappropriate manner. And I lost my mind. And
I understand. I have 2 daughters. I get it.
And I lost my mind, and I went and grabbed, like, because another parent found the situation, stopped it, saved the day, so to speak. And I went and got that kid's parent. But I was livid, and I was like, I wanted to end that young man. And now, granted, he's 11, but he's also like 2 feet taller than me. And so like it was hard for me to look at him as a young man.
As a young, yeah, right.
As a child.
Right.
Not as a grown man who I wanted to thrash. And I struggled with it, and I thought that I was okay with it. He apologized, we talked, went through all the appropriate Christian responses to it. And then I lost my mind about 6 months later. I saw him outside of a church nursery.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Like he was going to, his mother or guardian was working in the church nursery, and he was going to talk to her, but I snapped. And I grabbed that young man by the collar and drug him down the hallway and deposited him in the lobby. And and this wasn't a full extent, like huge assault or anything. This was someone inappropriately touched. It was a varying degrees.
It's still wrong, Hector. It's still wrong.
But
in my wife's line of work, she reports that.
Yeah. And it did.
Yeah.
And with the thing was, like, I thought that I had gotten okay with it. I thought that I had forgiven and healed and everything else. And I'm like, oh, nope, I am still completely traumatized by this situation. And,
Yeah.
you know, there's been healing and stuff that's happened in the time past. But like, I can't imagine like being in this situation and
Oh,
functioning
yeah.
normally again.
Right. Yes, exactly. Yeah,
And
exactly.
and so they're in this place where these heroes know that this demented man who literally is boasting about the fact that he's planning to assault.
Oh, not only that, he's creating images with light in a
Yeah.
couple panels, which is just horrible. I was like, oh my gosh, you know. Um, and then to have that brought back up. Yeah, because I mean, and I'm sure you felt that way. You feel helpless, honestly, you know, because you want to strike out. I mean, I would 100%. I'd end up in jail. I'm too pretty for jail. So I, that's not a good idea for me, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I would do. I mean, we know what their solution was. Their solution was not just to make him, first of all, it was going to be, let's make him forget who we are. And they're like, okay, yeah, we can do that. And then they were like, nope, let's take this one step further, and that was, let's change who he is. And that's the big, the big vote that, are you see, we're going to neuter Dr. Light, basically, is what they were talking about. They're going to decrease, they're going to change who he is at his core through magic, through Zatanna, and in hopes that this would never happen again. And it was a pretty controversial vote, actually.
Yeah. So let's pause there. So they realized that Dr. Light knew the identity, knew the whereabouts, how to get there, all these stuff, like that he was a very credible threat. The options were send him away, erase his memory, or change who he was as a person.
Right.
If this is you, and you're on this league at this point in time, what's your vote?
I know what I would want to do. I would want to kill him, wasn't an option. So I'd have to take that off. And I talk a big game, but when it comes down to it, I couldn't change who somebody was. I mean, I know that it would continually put my family in. I mean, but here's the deal. The person that it happened to, the family that it happened to, was not here for the vote. So these are all witnesses to what happened.
Yeah.
Not literally the people that were affected the most by what happened,
So I'm saying, what I'm saying. Not that you would be the victim, but if you were the witness, if you're on the league, like you would go for mind wipe, but not for alteration.
Yeah, that's probably it. Mm-hmm. I couldn't change who the person was. Yeah. I mean, because it says ultimately, coming from a family of therapists, that just doesn't work. You can't change who people are. People have to change who they are themselves. And we all know that truly can't come without a relationship with Jesus. I mean, honestly, you're never going to change. We are who we are. And you have to decide for yourself to change yourself, or it's going to come back and get you. So what about you? Don't let what I just said sway anything that you believe in.
But that's the thing. I have that same initial response. I know that my desire would be like, I'm just going to end you. And like
100%. I'm a little bit hillbilly. So, I mean, it wouldn't be nothing. I mean, it'd be nothing for you to never show up again. And I've got a whole lot of friends who'd make sure that the police would never find the body. So did I say that on the air? I think I did, but
previously on Justified.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes. That is hilarious.
Raylan Givens.
That does take place in Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
So
in the holler.
In the holler. Oh gosh.
I do love Justified. It's one of my favorite shows.
Nice.
I think it's somewhere in my actor crush of Timothy Olyphant.
Timothy Olyphant is great. And he plays a great Clint Eastwood in Rango, by the way.
Okay. I've never watched Rango.
Fantastic. It's hilarious.
But I got the bits I've seen I knew were funny, but like he also plays a marshal on Deadwood. And that's
and is he dead for real on The Mandalorian, or are we saying no?
That was the end of Boba
They put
Fett.
him in the Bantha tank.
Yeah.
And Boba Fett, they put him in the tank, didn't they?
Yeah.
Good.
That's why he
was great.
He'll be back, and he'll be all like pew cybernetic.
I love him. Anyway,
but
Hector, your choice. It's a hard one.
If based on Justice League standards, ending him's not an option. I feel like for me, man, I would be a little more Watchmen on the things like that. Either A, I would want to be more violent, or B, I would just want to leave him with somebody that would be.
He would never be out of surveillance ever again.
Yeah,
he would have the worst go around as a villain, because there would be a hero on him 24/7. Like, he'd have his own satellite. So,
well, dude, at that point in time, like, I know they kept Clark out of this, but Phantom Zone would have been an option for me.
There you go.
I would have straight.
But yeah, I love that. We get further into that. Clark hears what he wants to hear.
Yeah, but for me, I would have mind wiped him and stuck him in the Phantom Zone. That would just
there you go. Yeah, that'd have been a good way to do it until the Phantom Zone breaks down, because that happens every 2 or 3 years. Everybody gets out. Well, the original vote was Zatanna, Carter, and the Atom voted to do it. Green Arrow, Green Lantern, and Dinah voted against it, with Barry being the swing vote.
And like you pointed out, Barry just lost his wife.
And he had even targeted his dead wife, basically. He targeted his dead wife.
And so I think that's what did it then.
I do too.
The fact that he targeted his dead wife in his threat probably is the reason why he got mind wiped in the first place like that. So I mean that's heavy stuff in itself. We pop over right after that and we get the little villain hangout, which I think is cute. Like all the villains hanging out, in their little bar and stuff. And I don't know if you've seen, but there's about to be an HBO Max show of this, basically.
No, I haven't.
So on the Harley Quinn animated series, Kite Man is a main character, because for like at least
my favorite Kite Man scene is in Deceased, when Damian and the three, so Cassie, Damian, and Superman that's not Superman are going. Damian takes the invisible plane to go somewhere, and Kite Man, who is now has infected, flies up and splatters on the shield of the invisible plane. That's hilarious. It's my favorite Kite Man scene of all time. But anyway,
Tom King did a lot for Kite Man with War of Jokes and Riddles, and that was I don't think you had jumped on at that point.
No, I hadn't.
Okay, so language warning, especially coming from me, if I don't want to scare anybody, because it's not my normal vernacular. But like he gave Kite Man a catchphrase of "hell yeah."
Gotcha.
And
that's hilarious.
And he's like, it was something when the War of Jokes and Riddles, he's like, "Because I'm Kite Man, hell yeah." And and that translated over to the Harley Quinn cartoon.
Oh.
So
which
like,
I haven't watched.
Yeah, and it's not your cup of tea. So throughout that whole thing, it's like an every 30-second thing.
Oh wow, one right after another.
Yeah, and so like, but they took Tom King's joke, which was wonderful, and it translated over. Well, now the whole season of 2 is preparing for Poison Ivy and Kite Man's wedding.
What?
Yeah. Like he starts spitting game at her in season 1, and she actually agrees. They get engaged. It's a weird thing. But it doesn't work out. And so they are giving him a spinoff.
That's just unbelievable. Kite Man gets his
that we're
own
getting
show.
a Kite Man spinoff in 2023
Wow.
or 2024.
I couldn't get a good superhero movie until like 1989's Batman, and now all of a sudden we're getting like Kite Man has his own show. That's crazy pants.
And we still can't get Swamp Thing season 2, but whatever.
Oh, BT Dubs. Swamp Thing comic book is fantastic. Ram V, and the art is just amazing.
Heard, man.
What I want, it's great, but it's, I want to also say Poison Ivy, the Poison Ivy comic book.
That one was good.
It was probably my favorite first issue of a villain comic book, I would say. I mean, I love the Joker comic book, but it's not really about the Joker. It's more about Jim Gordon.
Yeah.
But it was great.
No, that Ivy comic was fantastic. The art in it was like.
Problem is that you had to read the backup story in the Batman annual, I think it was.
Yeah.
Was a prelude. Didn't know that. Anyway, I got off subject.
Yeah, I read that though.
Yeah, it was a good book. Just plugging some comics while we're at it.
But the Kite Man show is going to be about the villains hanging out at the bar.
Nice.
So it's going to be like this scene, so to speak, and a combination of Kite Man and Cheers.
Everybody knows your name.
Because have you ever seen How It Should Have Ended on YouTube?
No.
It's an animated series where they take every major blockbuster, every big thing, and rewrite an alternate ending that makes more sense or would be more entertaining, or ways that you could have solved the story way sooner, etc. And so throughout that entire, they've been doing it for years, and they only got sued once, to my understanding. That's
terrible.
Frozen they did How Frozen Should Have Ended, and they had Professor Xavier show up at the end. He's like, "I'd like to welcome you to the Xavier Institute for Gifted Youngsters." And
yeah,
and then they had
nice man,
but then Wolverine starts singing "Let It Go."
Oh no, that's terrible.
And so that
was a good Professor Xavier, by the way, Hector.
Yes. So Disney sued them for that, so they had to rewrite the whole episode.
Disney don't mess around.
No, not at all. But so every episode ends with Batman and Superman sitting at the Seinfeld diner, basically, discussing something. Well, then they have a villains pub where all the villains hang out and discuss it, and it's literally they took that idea, the Kite Man thing. So I know How It Should Have Ended. It's just a YouTube channel, and they don't have the collateral to fight.
Yeah, gotcha.
Warner Brothers,
Big Brother. Yeah, no kidding.
But I firmly stand in my opinion that Warner Brothers just said, okay, fair play. You've used our characters for whatever. We're taking your idea and we're going to make it into a cartoon.
Oh, absolutely.
And
I don't know. I think that would be a very interesting pub crawl. There are there's the bar at the end of the world that John Constantine goes to all the time. And then Marvel has their own no-name bar where all the C-list, B-list villains hang out. And now we've got the villain bar. I mean, the villain bar in the DC universe. It sounds like an interesting time.
Yeah. And so it's going to be a party.
Yeah.
But at the end of all this, we get Dr. Light showing back up. I'm gonna switch my headphones real quick.
Yeah, we get they go to attack Dr. Light. They find out where he is hidden, but Dr. Light has hired some muscle to help him, and it is the OG Deathstroke, which leads into the issue 3, which Hector says is one of his top 10 issues of all time.
And because issue 3 is mainly some SmackDown, I think we can go ahead and cover issue 3.
Well, I just wanted to say at the end of this issue 2, Dr. Midnight comes up with the she did not die of burns.
Yeah.
He says he basically says it's not Dr. Light, which, by the way, Dr. Midnight in the Human Target is fantastic.
Yes, he is. And all the times he's trying to invite.
I'd like to take you to church. You want to come to church with me? I mean, it's not pushy or mean or over to the top evangelism. It's just we have a relationship. I'm concerned about your eternity.
You're
And
genuinely falling apart, and you're going to die in 12 days. Would you like to come to church with me?
yeah, I love that. Anyway, so that's
No, I had that
well,
thought too, and I can't wait.
Thank you, Tom King.
That book is about to start back.
I know it took a hiatus. It's killing me.
I'm picking up Batman and Catwoman 12 today because I forgot to pick it up last week. So finally put the kibosh on that one.
I'm so glad that's over. I mean, it took forever, 3 years almost.
It did.
I mean,
and I don't feel like I gained anything of it other from a little snapshot of the future. But
right, a little bit of closure. But I felt like, I felt that Tom King's best work that I've had here recently, other than Human Target, was the Supergirl miniseries. And if you didn't get a chance to read it,
the trade is about to be in my mailbox.
It is so far it's my book of the year. So that ended.
Okay. Yeah.
The art is gorgeous. The story is great, but it's a lot of reading. Anyway.
And that's what I'm looking forward to. And I waited till it was in trade because I've missed the beginning of it. All right. So just we're going to pop over to issue 3. And issue 3 is the cover of it is a Michael Turner cover of it, and it is a magnificent piece of art. But and I've got this issue. I can literally pull this issue out of a box in a second. Like Todd just did. It is my favorite one, and in that you get, and I know we're about to talk about it, so it's not like a spoiler, but you get Deathstroke single-handedly wiping out a Justice League in like 12 seconds or something.
Yeah, it's like no time.
And the time it took to have a sentence, he wiped out the whole Justice League single-handedly.
Yeah, the time it takes to have a sentence, he wipes them all completely out.
So, this being when it was 18 years ago, I don't think that I had a healthy respect of Deathstroke before this.
No, he was just a perv.
Yeah.
I say that because at that point, he had seduced somehow Tara, a young girl, to do his bidding to help destroy the Teen Titans, which is how we get Nightwing, basically. And that's all. That was my run-in with Deathstroke. And basically, Dr. Light and Deathstroke, they're all Teen Titan villains at that point.
Yeah.
They weren't really mainstream villains.
But this one issue, to me, put him on the map of like, oh, you somebody. Now, and this was too, like, just to add to the climate, the same time that we were reading this, or that this was coming out, this was also the same time that Civil War was around the corner. So this was just a heavy time of division in terms of like divisive opinions about characters and heroes and stuff. So I know it wasn't like the same week or anything, but it wasn't far apart. So that was just it was a big deal with that. So the issue just starts with Deathstroke popping out, and well, the issue 2 ended with Deathstroke like laying out Ralph Dibny, and him popping in saying you have to bring in a professional. But one of the things that I like is like Black Canary says, Slade, this isn't your fight. And he responds, for the amount of money he's paying, it most certainly is, though I do this one for free.
Yeah.
He's just like, Go ahead.
He's a bad mamma jamma in this one. You just have to appreciate everything that he does. I mean, and it's so, just to write this comic, for him to take out the entire thing, the way he takes out people, like he took out the Atom with a laser pointer.
Because, and that's the thing, and like I wasn't sure if that was accurate or if I should, is that believable? But like that
but yeah,
like that, because it still has mass.
Yes,
that he took out the Atom with a laser pointer. And now, like, I think of every time I see somebody like using a laser pointer playing with their cats, I'm like,
oh, they're poor. I hope Ray Palmer's not here. And the fact that he does absolutely nothing to destroy the Flash. I mean, he sets off some explosions for no other reason than to get the Flash to run exactly where he wants him to run. And before Ollie can say, Wally, stop, it's already done.
And that's one of the things of it too, is that um you know, his big thing is that he's can see what they're going to do. He can predict it. He uses his brain more effectively. And, you know, that was the thing. He's like, all I got to do is create the right scenario. And you're just going to take care of yourselves.
So his daughter, this is an aside from this, that
Yeah.
can't she see the future
Yes.
so much?
Like
Cassandra,
she gets
no,
glimpses.
not Cassandra. What's her name?
Rose.
Rose. Yeah. She gets glimpses of the future. Yeah.
Ravager is her hero or villain name. Yeah.
Villain name. Yeah. Okay. So, which is interesting because he does not have that power, but he plans ahead.
Yeah.
She gets the cheat sheet. See ahead. She gets the cheat sheet, but Dad works it out in advance.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah. So he basically had his sword turned around backwards, knowing that if he set off explosions, Wally would come up from him from the behind, and Wally just runs right in. He basically impales himself with Deathstroke's sword at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but
yeah,
nice. One of my favorite lines is where it says he twists the sword to make sure he stays down. This is I know I'm about to reference a movie that is not like Academy Award winning or life changing or anything, but one of the things that's always stayed with me is the movie Face Off, with Nicolas Cage and John Travolta. Did you ever see that?
Never did.
Okay.
No, but I know the premise of the movie.
It was the most 90s thing possible.
And I heard they're making a sequel.
Oh no.
I've heard that. That's the rumor. Anyway.
But like Nicolas Cage has a very inappropriate line that was an iconic line out of the film. But there's a moment where John Travolta is teaching his daughter some self-defense stuff, and he gives her a butterfly knife.
Oh, nice.
And he teaches her, if you're ever attacked, take the butterfly knife, go for the thigh, stab, and twist.
And
he gives like this big instruction on why that's really, really important. And he like this moment, so like it's like verbatim. He twists the blade to make sure she stays down, or he stays down.
Yeah.
Because I watched that movie so much in the 90s, that's always been my instruction to my kids.
Twist.
Stab and twist. Like
stab and twist.
Like if we're ever at like a big outdoor event or wherever, I'd give my kids pocket knives. And like,
I always carry one.
Yeah. And like, so especially if like we're at the beach or like we're somewhere like my kids might be out of my reach, they've got a pocket knife. And literally when I hand it to them, I don't even say anything. I just hold it out and they're like, stab and twist.
You got like your own little gang. This is going to be like the Warriors, the old 80s movie.
Well, so we had a 3-hour traffic jam in Atlanta on Friday.
That's normal traffic on Friday in Atlanta.
Yeah. And we recognized that, and we were stuck in there, and like Bella doesn't know a lot about The Walking Dead, and she said something, you're like, I'd hate to be in a zombie apocalypse in Atlanta. And I'm like,
that's why.
I'm like, do you know what The Walking Dead is? She's like, no, it's a zombie apocalypse in Atlanta. And so like she paused, she looked down for a second. She's like, well, if any family's going to survive a zombie apocalypse, it's ours. And I'm like,
oh, good. Right on.
I'm like, I appreciate you. I praised you well. But no, it's just like Deathstroke, like just did all these things. And like the fact that he took out Zatanna just by like making her unable
gut
to talk.
Punching her. And she throws up and now she can't talk.
And I thought it was neat that even though there were two people whose powers were vocal in essence, he took them out in different ways.
I don't remember how he took out Dinah. How did he take her out?
He put like a soundproof bag over her head.
Oh yeah, I see. Yeah, I remember now. Yeah,
now because that's the thing. Even because that wouldn't have worked for Zatanna, because she could have spoken it under the bag, I think, and it would still function. Mm-hmm. But the sound would vibrate off of that thing and nullify her.
And the fact he gets Ollie thinks he's got him because he bends over and he misses me, but he goes, oh wait, he wasn't aiming for that. He was aiming for my arrows.
Now, I don't know if you know this, but they actually had an Identity Crisis action figure line.
No. Mm-mm.
They were masterpieces, dude.
I imagine.
I think they were all based on Michael Turner covers.
Gotcha.
So good.
They didn't have the wonky faces from Rags Morales.
But I had the Ollie action figure, and it actually came with you could have normal arrows in the back
Or broken ones.
or the broken
No.
ones.
Oh, that is cool.
And I thought that was one of my favorite things. It's just like I appreciated the small detail that you could
No
have
kidding.
the sliced Deathstroke arrows in there.
Nice.
And Deathstroke just dismantles this whole team. And like I said, that he cut the strap holding the wings off. But then this is again, he took out the whole league and he left the Green Lantern for last.
Yeah, and I like that he goes, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm testing a theory." Who has the strongest will, right?
And so
basically
literally just trying to see if he can overpower a Green Lantern with will.
Let's find out. I'm going to test a theory. This is fun. I get a chance to find out, do I have the stronger will? And he goes, "It's not going to work for you." He goes, "We'll see that, won't we?"
Again, this was the moment that made him again, there was not a better I don't know if I've seen a better Deathstroke moment since this either.
No, I don't think so. Now that he has his own book, I mean, it's basically it is Deathstroke Incorporated. I mean, it's basically, I don't know. I think he works better as a 2 or 3 story arc character. But you know how we do now. Anybody who's vaguely associated with the Bat family gets their own book until, readership drops to 3 people. Shoot, even I think I heard your fave book's coming back. So
which one?
The Red Hood. I heard they were bringing Red Hood back with Red Hood and his what was that book called?
Outlaws.
Yeah,
but it's coming to Webtoon.
Oh well, I mean, I get it.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Maybe they'll print it
eventually.
Yeah,
and that's I'm looking forward to that. And I'll say this too, out of this whole fight, one of the most gangster things to me is Ollie stabbing Slade in the eye
right in the
socket.
eyeball. Yeah, he goes, "I know this one, the bad eye."
But still, even with that, that's just questionable to me because,
yeah,
at that point in time, you're a few points of pressure away from brain damage.
Exactly.
And I'm that's super questionable. But then again, Ollie did kill somebody right after this. So, yeah, murked Prometheus a few years later.
So, I don't know. And then during the whole entire fight, that Slade then loses it basically, and just gives into his base. Here's the deal: he gives into who he is at his core, and just goes berserk. And it allows them to all gang up on him and basically defeat him. And at that point, Dr. Light is watching what's going on. And he has oh, wait a minute. This looks vaguely familiar. And that's when he says, "You took my mind."
Which is why you put him in the Phantom Zone.
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah, because he sees it. And the interesting thing is, I noticed this right away. In one of the panels, you go back. We see in this comic book, I think it was the end of last issue, you see them all piled up on Dr. Light fighting him. But when Dr. Light sees it in his mind, Batman's there. And Batman was not there when they described it.
I saw that instantly too. Yeah, just being.
And I was like, wait a minute. What the heck?
I was is this a mistake? I literally pulled the other issue out. I was like, wait, was this a misprint? What's up?
Mm-hmm. So then Light basically blows up. His light goes everywhere, and then everybody gets blinded, and they wake up, and Superman's there, and Deathstroke's gone, and so is Dr. Light.
And then comes just a little bit later comes your favorite line of everything. Clark hears what he wants to hear.
Yeah. So they basically tell him, "Oh, we thought Deathstroke was the guy, and he just took our lunch money, basically." And then the funny thing is that Wally steps in to explain it all. And I wonder if Wally does it because I would think it would be hard to tell if a Flash was lying if you were Superman because their heart beat, I don't
Oh,
know.
that's super smart, dude. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, because they can do all kinds. That would be my thought. Um, it would be sort of something hidden back away, sort of like um, the Carter being able to see him vibrating. Um, so yeah, I swear on Barry's grave, I'll hand you over to Clark myself. I like that part where he's like, you want to trash your own name, that's fine, but you're not going to trash Barry's name,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, that's that love for your mentor with that. But as
Mhm.
we see this, that he wasn't the only one that got mind wiped or whatever, that like there was like literally a whole slew of folks.
Yeah, they
Like
have a Daily Planet cover. Did you ever read that that story that Daily Planet cover is
switcheroo
based
one.
on? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's basically the group Cobra, which is a which is funny because that's who did the whole switcheroo, which is why they go after Slipknot, because they mentioned that Slipknot in jail, he didn't find Jesus, he found Cobra. So he joined the group Cobra. So they're thinking, we'll find Slipknot because they were the ones that found all these people's identities and did the switcheroo on us. Um, and that we get that in the next issue when it's got that gorgeous cover where basically Wonder Woman's it's like her biggest part in the entire book is in issue 4 where they go to interrogate Slipknot. But um, so we spend the next part of this book talking about like where everybody learned who everybody was. Like, they even reference the Killing Joke. There's a panel from the Killing Joke in it. And that's how we find out that they mind wiped all these people.
Which it makes sense and logic in retrospect, and I would expect something like this from Brad Meltzer, but I don't think that there's a lot of us that put a ton of thought into this. This just kind of like did you like was this a concern for you? Like did you ever think about this stuff,
What?
like the identities and these people finding this stuff on a regular basis?
Like losing their identities, you mean? People finding out who
Like
they were?
yeah.
So it was funny because I put a little quiz out, a little poll out there in the interwebs on the Love Thy Nerd and on my own podcast, on my own Facebook. Like, if you had a secret identity, would you want it kept secret? And the vast majority of the people was like, yes, I'd love to keep it secret. Although I have a big mouth, it'd be awful hard to keep it secret. But I think that's the biggest, I love the Jimmy Kimmel clip from Superman versus Batman. You've
Yes,
seen
that's
that?
great.
I mean,
Yes.
everybody should know that. I'm like, it's so funny that Jimmy Kimmel's like, wait, here, will you take this picture? Yeah. Say cheese, something like that. And they're like, wait a minute, we put that up there again. I can't imagine. We just, in real life, there's no way all these people could hide their identities. There's just no way,
Well, on that note, have you seen the thing with Zoe Deschanel?
What thing?
There's a Clark Kent situation with Zoe Deschanel. They're like, I never believed that, haircut and some glasses could completely hide your identity until I saw Zoe Deschanel without bangs and glasses.
Really?
And they've got the picture side by side, and like literally, you wouldn't know it's the same person.
Well, maybe so. But the issue is for casual observers, you wouldn't know. But for people who you have in your life, they would know.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way that you could keep it secret from everyone. I can't, especially your wife or your family. There's no way. I'll be right back, honey. So, and I don't have an Alfred to dress up like me, as Batman so that I can be at the same place twice or whatever. But especially, yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing, your family, because that is our weakness, honestly. is our family. Dr. Light had it right.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
you would, we feel helpless, especially when we're not around them. I mean, I have 3 adult children, 27 to 21. And I pray for them all the time. Oh, that's fantastic. That doesn't even look like her. It's crazy pants. Hector just sent me a picture of Zoe Deschanel.
See?
That's crazy. Yeah. So, I mean, my wife and I pray for my 3 kids all of the time because they are now outside of our protection and there's nothing we can do. And it's a helpless feeling, but we have to have a lot of faith. And I think that's the issue. You have to have a lot of faith that they will choose what's right and that, we have a God that protects them. And then whatever happens, we will be equipped with the materials to handle whatever happens. No matter how big or how small, but, again, you never find out who you truly are until you're put in the midst of a crisis. So, yeah.
That's why it's an identity crisis.
I know.
Because then you find out.
I can't go anywhere without somebody seeing me or, knowing who I am or something like that. And it's the same way with you. I'm sure. I mean, but where I'm a pharmacist in the community, I see people, I go into Walmart or I go into, the grocery store, whatever. And sometimes you just want to be able to go and leave without having a conversation. And then other times you want to sit and talk, but anyway, yeah, I would be extremely concerned if I were a superhero. It would make me question whether I actually want to be a superhero, honestly.
Well, and that's the there's an old Caedmon's Call lyric that said, "I love anonymity and I love being noticed just the same as anybody else." It's like we all have that balance of it. And
hilarious.
I there's times I really, because like I'm in that boat. Like I can't go anywhere without like somebody knowing me. Like I'm not saying everybody's gonna know, but somebody's gonna know me. And like that idea of like I just want to be anonymous without that. And the having an identity secret isn't just protection, it's also a chance to be able to let everything down. Because as you kind of saw in Heroes in Crisis and stuff, it's just like having to carry this weight the whole time is exhausting.
It is exhausting. Exactly.
And like even like you said with your adult daughters, like I'm struggling with my 14-year-old daughter being at a Bible camp I built 20 miles from here.
A Bible camp. Yeah, I gotcha.
I'm struggling with that. Like the first time she asked to stay after school for a basketball game.
Oh yeah.
I'm like,
there's a bunch of only heathens stay after school for basketball games. Like you can, no way.
It's just like, and I've tried to be very transparent with my kids. And I was like, I want to tell you this. Everything in my flesh tells me that this is a trap and you're doing something shady and that I need to be worried. And like everything in my
sounds
flesh,
like a trust issue, man.
And I was like, this isn't about you. It's about the fact I don't trust anyone else. And
exactly.
I'm scared to let you be gone. It's like, but I'm letting you know I feel this, but I'm also letting you go do what you want because what I'm feeling is fear, and that's not what God's given me.
Exactly.
So I'm like, I'm gonna let you go, but I just know I hate it. And it scares me. So don't do anything stupid.
Nice.
And that's been this whole year of her finishing 8th grade, going into high school has been like,
oh wow, yeah, high school.
She starts high school and so this kid, for her first time of working at a summer camp for a whole summer, didn't just want to do that. She decided to go ahead and enroll in high school during the summer.
Oh, so she's taking classes during the summer?
Yeah. So she's literally doing a full day's crazy workload of camp stuff and then sneaking into the counselor lounge to do science.
Oh, nice.
And cool. I'm like, and so she's exhausted, but I'm like, man. But it's that thing.
All I wanted to do was ride my bike in the summer.
Well, all I wanted to do was like not be hot for the longest time because I lived in a single wide trailer with no insulation, and it was used. You lived in a single wide trailer, man. There were 6 of us, and my mom would say, "Go outside and don't come back in until dinner." That's what we did.
I feel you, brother. I feel you. But my dad did do heating and air conditioning, so we did have an air conditioner.
Nice.
It was nice, but they only cooled the living room, and then we put sheets or blankets and to cut off the rest of the house. So, that was it. That was the only part that was air conditioned was the living room.
Mm. So outside of revealing, Boomerang has a kid and some calculator dialogue, that's basically issue 3 as well.
No, because but it also sets up Gene Loring is being attempted murder at the end.
On the last page, we see Gene Loring being hung over a door frame by someone who's not there. And to be fair, they did a good job, because I suspected nothing other than, oh, here goes another one.
Yeah. And interesting that they choose, honestly, they choose characters that they put in peril of basically obscure characters in this. I mean, you get Boomerang and his son, you get Gene Loring and the Atom. I mean, I don't know. I collected a mini series with the Atom, and it was terrible. And Sue Dibney and Ralph Dibney, and then Tim Drake and his dad.
Now, Tim was a big game player at that time, but his dad wasn't.
Dad wasn't, exactly. Yeah. So,
but he was also the only Robin that had living parents. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's terrible. Oh, well.
Yeah, he was the only Robin with living parents. So it's just
Tim Drake's my favorite Robin.
And I think, I don't know if we mentioned this before, but there was a line in Hush, which it's one of my favorite books,
right?
Where Bruce says that he is the greatest detective, and by all rights, he should be the next Batman.
Who, Tim Drake?
Yeah, like Bruce.
But now that was before Damian, correct?
Yes, this was pre-Damian.
Yeah, and Damian was a baby that he didn't know about.
Yeah. And so every time I hear something about the next Batman or see something, them changing, a different character to Tim, and I'm like, I hear that one line from Jeff Loeb in my head
all the time, huh?
He is the greatest detective and he should be the next Batman. Now, knowingly, we got Battle for the Cowl right after that, and then him being Batman lasted 30 seconds. If you saw that outcome of that story, but it was all 3 Robins fighting over being Batman, whether they wanted it or not.
Oh, no, I did not see that. I didn't read that. That was during my hiatus away from comics, but I do know about it.
So Jason claimed it, wore an armored Batman suit. Tim put on the suit to try and stop Jason, and Jason stabbed him in the sternum with a batarang.
Nice.
And then Dick had to take him out and become Batman. Right. Just to stop Jason from being Jason at that point. And I mean, there's so much good in this series, and I'm having a blast talking about it with you. And
yeah, no kidding.
We'll come back.
Maybe by December we'll be done.
That's all right. I say August or September, maybe. Who knows? But we're in there. If we do 2 issues a thing, we should be good. But if not, I'm also in no hurry, because
I am in no hurry either.
So, man, it's been great talking with you, Todd. And
you too, Hector.
I look forward to talking some more. And next time, like you said, next time you see me, you owe me an Ale8. Yeah,
a case. I'll bring the real McCoy. I won't bring that watered down stuff like you. It'll be the real Jill.
I'll take the sugar free. I just want all the caffeine in the world.
Okay, well, the diets are pretty good too.
Yeah, that's it. All right, everybody. Thank you for taking time to listen to this. If you are listening to this, or if you're watching it on Facebook, before we bounce out of here, I want to take a moment to thank some of our Patreon sponsors, and also just let you know that we have GalaxyCon Raleigh coming up at the end of July. That's going to be our last. Well, it's not our last. We got more shows, but it's our big show for the year. So grateful for that coming up. We've got some stuff. We have the children's book, Can I Still Wear My Cape? Literally, we're this close to done.
Fractions away.
He sent me the last page of the book.
1 centimeter.
So I got the last page, and I'm waiting. He's going to do the cover today. And so by all rights and purposes, I could start publishing the book tomorrow. So we'll see how that plays out. But just to let you know that's coming up. And I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon sponsors, Candace Davis, Jay Sheed. I don't know Jay Sheed. Jay Sheed's the new person. Hi, Jay
cool,
Sheed.
Jay. Awesome,
Hi.
Jay. You rock.
But yes, Jay Sheed, just a new person to me. So hi, Jay Sheed. Jillian, Jason Crutchfield, Michelle Byers. And this is sad, but I just realized she's still on our Patreons. Michelle passed away. One of our Patreon supporters. Wow. And I didn't find that out until recently. And but yeah, Michelle, her daughter contacted me to let me know that she had passed away. But Mike Perna, Todd Turner, oh, that's you. Jonathan Jacobs, Zach Harris, Caleb Grimm, Jeanette Skaggs, Chris Poirier, Jason Bullock, Christina Ray, Sarah Lewis, Patrick Gale, Rebecca Godlove, Adam Davis, and Stephanie Schwann. Thank you all for contributions and helping make all that we do possible. My podcast just got renewed for next year for the domain. I was like, oh, yay.
I just had to redo my website, which is in poor construction, and I was like, oh, Kathy's like, what did we just charge? I was like, oh yeah, my bad, I forgot to mention it.
Yeah, Chris Poirier actually paid and set it for our website initially, and I don't even know what to do with that, so I gotta make sure.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he's a rock star. And I think he used some of Columbus Got Game to do it, so
good.
But that's probably coming up soon. But thank y'all for listening, thank y'all for watching, and we will be back soonish to talk about this some more.
Absolutely.
And, thank y'all so much.
Keep your identity safe.
Yeah. Well, know your identity and then keep it safe.
There you go.
All right. Y'all have a great day.